We will now go ahead and continue with our media availabilities. We are now joined by Daniel Hemric, driver of the number 8 Caterpillar Chevrolet. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Please raise your hand and we'll get a mic over to you. We'll start in the back with Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Daniel, when you heard the news, what was the reason they gave you for the decision that you're not returning next year?
I think there's a number of things, right, that weigh into a decision like that, but ultimately just felt like I needed to do something different, and because of that, I think the rest of the details you'd really have to get RC or anybody else up here to ask that question, but that's a decision they made, and we're all going to live with it and move on.
Coming down here to Claire.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Were you shocked, or did you see it coming? Did you think, well, this could be the thing that would be announced, or were you surprised by it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, RCR was professional as they could be about giving me, enough time to understand and process what was going on. I wouldn't say necessarily shocked, but on the other side of it, I was hoping we could continue to build on what we've done over the past 6 months, and really with this package and whatnot, we know as a whole we weren't where we wanted to be, but we also know as a whole at RCR, we've made huge strides. So that part of it was, a little disappointing, I guess is the word to use, that we're not going to be able to continue that build, and I'm not going to be part of that process. But, things happen, life happens, and sun comes up the next day, and you try again. So that's where I'm at this weekend.
We'll go over to the left to Jerry, and then over here to Chris.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires on that. So what is your next step for your career, and what do you any plans on the table?
Yeah, I've actually been very blown away by the support. It's very humbling to have not only people inside the industry, but your peers as far as guys you race with on the racetrack, to have some of the stars of our sport reach out with their gratitude and their praise for what they feel like you're doing on and off the racetrack, right? Those are the guys who really see you in the heat of the moment. To have everyone on that side support me like they have, I think that's led to a lot of phone calls and a lot of conversations with a lot of race teams over the last week. And because of that, I'm thankful, right? It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And the good thing is I'm staying in the folks that matter in their minds in the sport. And hopefully that allows me to have a long, successful career. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to just get by and say, hey, I was able to do this. I'm here to do it and do it at the highest level possible. And I think getting that praise and being humbled by that's what's going to keep me in it for the long haul.
We'll go to Chris and then over to Bob.
ChrisKnight.com. Daniel, do you feel like that the opportunity for you racing next year is high? And do you feel like that it has to be in Cup, or do you feel like that you can go back to Xfinity?
I just want to race. I said in one of my social posts on the way here that the best thing for the soul is getting back in a race car. And nobody's asked this question yet, but yes, my Caterpillar Camaro Z01's really good here this weekend, so that's been good. And to answer the question, I'm just thankful that I've had opportunities already come up and people reach out and contact me and about driving a race car. So it makes you know that you're desired from truck to Xfinity to Cup. I don't care what it is. I'm going to do it and do it at a high level and put myself in position to win races. People always talk about not winning races, right? Hasn't won a NASCAR race. On the flip side of that, I've said time and time again, you can go back to any interview I've ever done. I feel like I've always been a part of a build process. I've always been coming into race teams that need to work, and I know as a driver I've always had to work on myself as well. I kind of thrive under that. I don't mind being a part of the build process, and the success RCR's had as an Xfinity team this year, I feel like started way back 2017 between myself, Austin, Ty, everybody running those cars as much as we were to get that program is where it's at today. And I feel like we were on the same path on the Cup side. We just haven't got to see it come to fruition yet. So rolling on, moving forward, I'm just know that whatever the opportunity is, I'll jump in it, and hopefully I can continue to build whatever program it is I end up with, and hopefully be a part of it down the road.
We'll go to Bob and then over here to Lee.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. I had a couple. First, what more could you have done to have kept your ride?
I feel like every night I've laid my head down, I knew I did everything I could do. I've always said that if you do that, that's all you can do in life, no matter what it is. Driving a race car, being a father, a husband, a parent, whatever it is, if you lay your head down, you gave it everything you had, then that's what allows me to sleep at night. And have I lost the ability to sleep over the last week? Of course, right? You're scrambling. You're the guy people lean on to provide for not only your wife, but your people that you employ and whatnot. That's one thing. But from the success side of it, I haven't lost a wink of sleep. I know I've done everything I can do, and moving forward, that's what I'm going to continue to do.
And had you started talking to other teams before this week, or once you got notified by Childress, were you starting from kind of a blank sheet of paper?
I started from a blank sheet of paper. You know, my full commitment and heart and desire to be at this race team has been there from day one. I never want to do anything that was gonna portray that path of something else. So I was all in up until I got sat down on Monday and given the news. And after that, it's been full steam ahead with myself and all of our partners that are helping us kind of, you know, put the next step in place. And like I talked about earlier, having people support you through this has been incredibly humbling. How much outreach I've had from people in the industry willing to put phone calls in for you and help you in this particular situation. So I did not talk to nobody else, but it's good to see that now that I have, there's been a lot of interest, and that's all I can ask for.
We'll go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, RacingVoice.com. Daniel, and I mean this in all sincerity, you are one of the most genuinely nice people
I appreciate that.
in the garage. But this isn't a popularity contest,
exactly
and
right.
at some point, you have to show results, you have to win. And how do you do that? I mean, clearly, your numbers are no different than the Dillons, and you're in the same equipment, and, it's not a reflection on you, but at some point, NASCAR is about numbers, and you got to win. I mean, how do you get to that point?
It's part of the process, right? Like I said, I think the people that need to know, you just said it all, right? Everybody in here knows what I've been driving over the last 4 to 5 years from being involved in NASCAR, period. And you'll never one time find a program where I've jumped in that they've won 5, 6 races the year before. And because of that, that's why I say I take pride in building the program up. And I think when you start comparing numbers, you're exactly right. I'm not sure there's much more I could have done on this side to change the outcome. But with that being said, maybe it is time to rebuild the stock, right? Maybe go back truck racing, Xfinity racing, or whatever the next opportunity is to build that stock and show I can win. I won in every single level that I ever ran full time in all my way up through the ladder. And everybody knows I'm not cocky, and I'm not going to sit here and brag about that. The grand scheme of things, I know if I'm in winning stuff, I'll win races. And I don't care what level it's at. And that's what gives me the desire to keep going. They've been well informed with what's going on. I'm not sure what the talks RCR had with them or not, but all I've been told is that they couldn't ask for more out of me. And when I got that phone call from them, I knew I did all I could do. Thank you.
We'll come right down here to Nick and then over to Dustin.
Yes, Nick Vanderlock, RSN. Daniel, obviously third best in happy hour practice today. How just encouraging, or if there's a healing process, or how much being back at Richmond, helps all of this.
There's no better way than to go out and change the way you feel than perform, right? I feel like, the text and conversation I had with my team guys, especially in the 8-car group, in the days following the announcement, I promise you they were fired up as more, if not more than me. And because of that, I knew we'd unload here and have speed and have drivability and all the things I talked about that we've been trying to build for 6 months. We're coming back here for the second time, and just all of us know that it's no different than everybody else. You're fighting every single week for your job. Just so happens everybody knows I'm out of mine. So it just makes it though where everybody wants to go out and still succeed and be successful, and having the feel that I won't here and knowing that we've made progress. I still am just as satisfied knowing how far our cars have come from the first race here to now, and that does make that process a lot easier to go through as we're going through it.
We'll go to Dustin right in the middle and then over to Jordan.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. You've talked about partners, supporters, backers. Obviously, in a lot of cases, the way that the sport is, the business is, it can be as much about what you can bring to a team financially. It's kind of late in the game for next year, so how do you start to put together things like that, and how can you put together something that would give you as good of an opportunity or potentially better instead of having maybe to quote unquote take a step back?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there is a lot involved in that, as you talked about, but I think, having, let's say you got $1 million in your pocket. Well, if you got the voice of past champions and Hall of Famers in our sport, I promise you their words almost just as impactful as that dollar amount is. And if they believe in you, that kind of rings as the highest level. And because of that, I feel like it can put you in a situation where you don't have to have all that financial back, and you don't have to have all that other stuff that comes with trying to get a ride nowadays. And I think all I can do on my end personally is keep doing what I'm doing. But it is late in the game, and things got to start materializing pretty quick in order for me to land in a seat that I'm, hoping to get by next year in any form. And I feel like having those guys praised kind of increases that dollar amount value, not only what I'm bringing, but more so what my value is, from their word for me. And I think that rings with a lot of other sponsors and partners that are involved in these other race teams. And that's all I can ask for is to keep doing what I'm doing and hopefully be able to keep that praise up so when the time comes, they're still got my back.
Why do you think that the words of those carry such weight and can override the financials? I mean, I know you've had to put together things. This isn't the first time, but I'm guessing it's the first time or more so where you've had as many people. Why will that make a difference, or why could that? I mean, money's still money.
Yeah, because there's nothing like your peers knowing what you're doing. These car owners up and down the garage in all 3 series, like I said, they know the situation I've been in over the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. They know the success of where those companies were when I was driving them versus where they got to. And because of that, I think they see the value in putting someone like myself in their race car and where I can take their race team to. And that, to me, equals dollars. That equals positions on the racetrack. That equals position in the points, which equals funding, no matter how you want to look at it. It's just a matter of somebody giving you the shot and taking advantage of it.
Go ahead.
Steve Wilson, SpeedwayDigest.com. You're facing a similar situation that Matt DiBenedetto just did a couple weeks ago. First off, do you wish this would have happened earlier in the year so that you could be prepared for 2020? And secondly, when you look at the rods that are out there across all 3 series, is there one thing in particular that you're looking for when that next opportunity arises?
I wish it wouldn't have happened at all. That'd been the ideal situation. No, there's not one in particular ride or instance I want to be in, but I just want to make my next move a big one. I want to make sure that, the lack of winning races, I feel like the next place I put myself, I want to be in a situation where I can do that. I want to be in a situation where my stock can be rebuilt to what I know it's capable of, and the people involved with me know it's capable of. And wherever that lands, then that's what I look to do with a program, and that's what I look to do for myself. Like I said, just driving race cars, man, I don't care where it's going to end up. I just want to make sure I end up in a good situation that can ultimately lead to a long-term deal down the road, to be successful and desirable in the sport. And you want to make sure you eliminate any possibility of something like this happening again. And the best way to do that is put yourself in a position where people know you can win races. And I'm looking forward to whatever's next. I mean, I've been down and out. Listen, I've been down and out many times, right? Everybody knows my situation, where I've come from, the things I've had to overcome to get to here. And it's no different. Backspin against the wall, and hey, somehow you made it to the top level of the sport. So I don't care where it ends up, where I end up at. I'm not done.
We'll go to Jordan, then we're going to wrap right here with Randy.
2 questions, Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. First, did RCR tell you who's replacing you next year in your car?
No, they did not.
The second question, was going back to the Xfinity Series with RCR an option?
Hadn't even been talked about, to be honest with you. I'm sure everything's on the table at this point, man.
And we will conclude here with Randy.
This year, maybe more than many years, there's a lot of sort of glamour names in Xfinity. There's Bell and Custer and Reddick and these guys.
How many other ones are there?
Yeah. Do you think the guys in your situation who haven't had a lot of time to get seasoned at the cup level are feeling that pressure from that group?
Yeah, of course, right? But they also know that where the Xfinity Series is. I've been in it. I've raced in the series. I had this conversation with a guy who's won a substantial amount of Xfinity races this year, and he himself told me that the competition and who he's racing this year is not what it was in years past, no matter how you want to look at that. So, yes, the numbers look all flashy, but I can promise you get to this level, I'm proof of it, it's a different deal. I think because of that, it makes the guys who are still performing in the cars that could be desired, makes them sleep just fine tonight.
All right. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it.